Hi everyone, welcome to Meditation with Annemarie. This is the last part of my 21-part series on coping with change using your inner power. So today we're going to be drawing, well I won't be drawing because it's our last power, but all the 21 powers that I've been sharing with you are based on my book Will to Wonder, Principles on the Loss and Recovery of Power. And the book is based on our teachings as Brahma Kumaris. So if you haven't been here before, welcome. And what I've been doing is I've been sharing different powers, 21 powers that I find very helpful in life as a means to help us cope with change. So I've been drawing a different power every fortnight, and this is the last power. So I will still strike the bowl just to get a nice gentle vibration. Okay, so our very last power for this series, power to be humble. Couldn't finish off with a better power, really, could we? So the power to be humble is the ability to be aware of my own strengths and limitations, to accept my own journey and the journey of others without enforcing my beliefs or trying to change others, or allowing others to change me. I am the Empress. I walk tall in my power, enabling me to be flexible and bend easily to help others up. I've gained wisdom through applying what I've learned and do not need recognition. I know my inner power and never abusing it. I have nothing to prove and no one to impress. I am respected by all because I demonstrate self-respect. So the supporting virtues that help you apply the power to be humble easier is loving detachment, benevolence, compassion, broad-mindedness, generosity of heart, not of pocket, flexibility, and of course, self-respect. So a beautiful power to be finishing with. So let's start with a meditation. So just starting with a nice gentle breath deep into your belly. Allow your body to relax. And just settle yourself into a comfortable position where it can allow you to release or let go or unplug from the external world for just a little while. And all I want you to do today is just focus on allowing yourself to just be. As souls, as spiritual beings, we need to be in silence more regular so that we can do more powerful in our life. So give yourself permission just for a few moments each day, starting right here, right now, to just allow yourself to become as silent as you possibly can without fighting with any thoughts that might come to disturb your bit of peace, without fighting with any emotions that might try to come and disturb your bit of peace. Just be aware of them, acknowledge them, and let them pass. Each time bringing yourself back to the here and now. So just allowing yourself to just be in that silent space. Feel that gentleness for yourself. Feel that patience that you're giving yourself. Feel that love, bathe in your own self-love. As a soul, you are filled with love, but because you've forgotten, you've just become empty. And when you become empty, you will look externally to fill yourself up. So give yourself permission and allow yourself regularly, daily, several times throughout your day, to just apply the brake in whatever you're doing. Take a breath, turn inward and check in on yourself. Check that you are being kind to yourself first and foremost, not at the detriment of others. And make sure you're being kind to others, not at the detriment of your own health and well-being. So these few moments each day simply allow you to turn inward and check to see where you're at any given moment. It will help you recognize where you may be giving away your power. It will help you recognize where you may be becoming a victim in your own story. It will help you recognize if you're becoming arrogant and judgmental of others or of yourself. So allow yourself to be, to just be. The soul is a spiritual being doing in this physical world. But in order to do, like a battery, it needs to be charged. So giving yourself permission to become silent and to just reconnect with your inner self and reconnect with the divine. The being of all energy, the source of all energy. And work on strengthening that inner relationship and that upper relationship, so that your physical relationships will work out better for you, without controlling you, nor without you feeling the need to control it, but simply flowing and learning. So feel that calmness in your being right now as you tap into your own power, as you tap into your own peace, as you tap into the awareness of the self, the powerful being of light, living within this body. Remembering that you, the soul, are the driver of this body. Will help you Stay stable in the direction you're heading. And it will allow you to use your inner power. For through meditation they will be strengthened, and through practice they will be strengthened. But we first need to be before we go out and do, before we go out and practice. Recharge and then do. Recharge and then do. Recharge and then do. Om Shanti. So the power to be humble. What a beautiful power to be finishing this series with. There's not a lot to say about humility really, because it's pretty self-explanatory. But to just briefly go through it, humility for me is tapping into my authenticity, to accept the journey at hand, that it's not necessarily an easy journey, and that everyone has their own story. So to not try and force my beliefs on anyone else, nor allow others to force their beliefs on me. And it means to accept my own strengths, my own weaknesses, and within that lies greatness. But I need courage to turn inward to look at that. And this is where often people don't want to do it, or they do it partly, and then they understand it on an intellectual level, but not necessarily on a practical level. So that's where arrogance kicks in. When I think I know something and I talk about it, but I don't actually do it, that's not humility. In fact, that's far from humility. To be humble means that possibly sometimes we might learn easily, but most of us as human beings, we've become so attached to our humanness that we forget that we have this amazing power within us. And so we don't necessarily recognize, or sometimes we might flatly deny, that I don't understand something. So to be able to fall flat on my face and get up, to really experience that humility when I'm down on my knees and understand that it is up to me to make the changes, and that I understand that the journey has its ups and downs, and that I need to be consistent and determined and courageous to keep going. So, because it is a journey, self-empowerment, self-change, self-transformation will change. Starts with self-transformation. And self-transformation is a journey. It's not something that happens overnight. It's not an event over a weekend. It's a consistent checking in on myself. We call it checking and changing, where we're constantly turning inward, especially if I'm being triggered, to not react and automatically blame this other person or situation in front of me, because that in itself is arrogance. It's judgmental and it comes from fear. So there's no humility, there's no humbleness in there whatsoever. Humility, or to be humble, doesn't mean to be submissive. Often people see someone humble as submissive because they're out there trying to prove themselves. They're not out there trying to knock you down to make them feel better about themselves. So they're very gentle and quiet because you don't have to prove yourself. It doesn't mean to be forceful. It doesn't mean to be opinionated and assume everyone else is wrong, or listening to someone but always having this inner dialogue of assumptions, already knowing what they should or shouldn't be doing. I haven't learned anything if that's the case. I've just understood it on an intellectual level. And that means that I understand it, I'm getting it, but that's only part one. The second part is to put it into practice and really experience it. And everyone's going to have different experiences, depending on their beliefs, their filters, depending on their culture. There's so many, their experiences in life. So everyone's going to experience it differently. But the key is to have that experience. Often arrogance is also there when people humility is not about stealing a story from someone else or borrowing a story from someone else, because again, that's arrogance. Pretending that I know something, or learning it or living vicariously through someone else, is fear-based. It's not humble. So when I am truly humble, it means that whether someone praises me or whether someone defames me, I remain equalized. I don't get affected by either. Because for me personally, I've learned to hand it over, because I used to be such a people pleaser and I used to look for that approval. And I think I've mentioned before that when we look to others for approval or validation, we give them permission to dictate the terms. So when I'm looking for that approval, I'm not turning inward. And as I said, they're going to dictate the terms. So that is based through their filters. So I need to experience my own experiences. And through that experience itself is an amazing power to have. Because like any school, there's a theory part of your learning and there's a practical part of your learning. And you will not pass if you do not pass your practical side. Life is no different. When I truly understand the practical application of spirituality, that in itself is humbling. And that takes me off my little pedestal and it stops me from putting others on the pedestal. And we stay on equal footing. So understanding that I have nothing to prove and no one to impress, for me it is so liberating. It is so powerful beyond measure, because it's limiting when I need to prove myself. It's limiting when I need to impress others. It's limiting when I need validation, when I need praise, when I need that you did good. So one of the practices that we practice as Brahma Kumaris, whether we get praised or whether we get defamed, we learn to hand it over. So that way I don't fluctuate. And my journey can remain like a nice, gentle, even wave. Because life can be difficult, life can be really hard. But it's up to me what I do with that. And this is not to undermine anyone's story, but to help you recognize the power that we have within our own story. But it is up to me as an individual to tap in. We all have this amazing power, even if right now you don't believe it. You have this power within you. I never believed I had power. And I was quite insecure and I never felt good about myself. So I was constantly at the beck and call of others. That's very limiting, and it's very destructive to the soul. So humility allows you to tap into that authenticity. That is the true you, the beautiful, selfless, motivated, creative, loving, content you. And that is so powerful. It's raw in itself. So, you know, when you see someone humble coming into a room, for example, someone truly humble will hold the respect. They may be small in stature, but they will have this amazingly huge presence. And it's not arrogance, because when you're drawn to this genuine, authentic energy, you're drawn to it. It's very different to arrogance. Arrogance tends to repel you. So remind yourself that you have this amazing power, and that stops you from trying to tear down others, and it stops you from tearing down yourself. Instead, it gives you a lift up, and it allows you to strengthen yourself enough and to become so humble with the experience, because you know it's not an easy journey. As soon as I think that I've got it down pat, I'll get tested, and I'll get tested in a swift way. And that's what keeps you humble. If you're genuinely searching for that inner peace, that inner power, that inner light, there cannot be any arrogance with that. And what I love about spiritual practice is little bit by little bit, all that human weakness, all those human limitations disappear as I start strengthening my inner light, as I start working with my inner power, my inner tools, because I now recognize the amazing, powerful being that I am. And that's what makes me content. When I am content with my role, that's what keeps me humble, because I know I have worked very hard and I've earned the role that I'm playing today. And we have to earn, just like we have to earn self-respect, we have to earn humility. But it's worth it, because contentment is the power of all powers. Contentment means that I am so full that I overflow. And by being so full and overflowing, there's no room to look for validation. There's no room for control or conforming. There's only room for equality within myself and within the world. And that is the power to be humble. So I hope you got some benefit from this series. I look forward to continue some kind of self-empowerment programs. I'm not quite sure how it's going to go from here, but I look forward to continue on. And in the meantime, if you haven't subscribed, remember to subscribe down below. And I look forward to staying connected. And if you feel up to it, remember to like and leave a comment, because it does always help. And have a great day. Let's finish off with another meditation. So taking another breath. Allow yourself once again to be quiet. If the noisy monkey mind starts chattering, don't fight with it. Just ask for it to wait for a little while. Just to wait its turn. Because for now, you're working on you. For now, you're nurturing you. For now, You're recharging you. So as you turn inward and upward, I want you to imagine now that you are this tiny, tiny point of light in the middle of the forehead, sitting on your lotus throne. Being peaceful, shining bright, content. But then I want you to notice that as life goes on and you forget your true beautiful self and you forget your lotus throne and you step off that throne, notice the many masks that you are putting on to hide your true, beautiful, sparkling self. The mask of self-control, the mask of arrogance, the mask of judge or martyr or controller, the masks of fear and anger and expectation and disappointment, the mask of only seeing skin deep, will only be seeing the image, the body. And notice how you're feeling heavier and heavier as you recognize all these masks that you've been wearing. So I want you to take a breath. I don't want you to get hard on yourself. I don't want you to beat yourself up or get down on yourself. I want you to take a breath and in your mind pat yourself on the back for showing courage and to be willing to turn inward and look into the mirror of your own heart. And just feel that heaviness. And feel how uncomfortable, even painful it feels. And so know that you have a right and a responsibility to remove those masks one at a time, because I know it can be painful to remove them all at once, to strip yourself bare. Fear of exposure is a real thing in this world, in this physical, material world. And yet what are we fearing? Exposing truth, exposing love. That can't be wrong. So as you sit there, allow yourself to remove those masks one at a time. Remove that mask of fear. Remove that mask of insecurity. Remove that mask of arrogance or resentment. Remove that mask of manipulating or victimizing either yourself or others. Remove that mask of beating up on yourself. And certainly remove the mask on beating on others because you feel that they are beneath you. And as you remove those masks one by one, patting yourself on the back all the way, knowing how much courage it is taking you to look at that mirror, but also notice how much lighter you feel with every mask removal. Feel that lightness, that feathery feeling, and feel that lightness as in sending out that bright, bright light. Because there's no mask obstructing it. And simply keep filling yourself full with all your amazing inner strengths, your innate qualities and specialities that you are born with, that you have a right to, and that you have a responsibility to use, to demonstrate. So just shine bright, like that bright star that you are, like that living lighthouse. Don't be ashamed of it. Remove that mask of shame. Remove that mask of blame. And just shine. Om Shanti.